Hey Addy,
Hey,
so you've been posting videos about homeschool, right?
yeah,
I don't think you've talked really about why homeschool, right?
yeah, that's right.
There were a lot of reasons that made us decide that we want to do homeschool for our kids.
Mm-hmm,
So I want you to tell the viewers
mm-hmm.
why did we pick homeschool for our kids?
Well, there are several factors that we considered. Like Megan initially started with the regular school, but then we decided to homeschool. So I wanted to share why we did that. So initially, when she started, she was doing really good, and she did her kinder and first grade in the regular schools, and she did really good. And we, as parents, we had this desire for our child to grow in the Lord, even as she is learning or doing school. So we wanted to try. That was really our very first reason. We wanted to try and see how homeschool worked for us. So we were looking for Christian curriculums where she could learn about God as well as implement learning about God in each of her lessons. So we looked at several curriculums. And second grade is when Megan was introduced to homeschooling. So we started it as a try, and also because we wanted Megan to learn about God as she's learning her regular lessons. So that's our small story behind homeschooling. Do you want to add anything to that?
I think there were a couple of reasons I would say, right? One was COVID, of course. Then our church, right?
Mm.
During COVID, Megan was doing online school for our first grade. For second grade, we thought, why not try homeschool? I think we got introduced to homeschool by our church also, right? There were a lot of families in the church who were doing homeschool in our fellowship and all that. So that's how I think we got introduced to the different curriculums.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we had no choice during COVID to send kids to school. So I think that also, in a way, helped us to try out homeschool curriculum. And I think I've seen a lot of improvements and difference in Megan and Manu
Mm-hmm.
when they did homeschool. Yeah.
That's right. So now let's discuss about the key factors that made us continue homeschooling. Now that she's in fifth grade, we started when she was in second. So there must be something that kept us going all these years. So I'm going to share a few
Hmm.
of those things. So the first thing was, like I said, it was we wanted to do a Christian based curriculum where kids learn about God and God is a part of their curriculum. And it's not two different things, how God is involved in their learning. And that's one of the key factors that made us continue. And the other one I would say is one on one focus. Well, Megan is a person who would do things on her own. She wouldn't need someone to sit beside her and teach her. But for Manu, he needed that one on one attention. So I thought homeschooling would be a better choice where I can sit with him one on one and teach him and help him in those areas where he is really finding some difficulties, right? So for an active kid like Manu, there should be someone who is there with him to teach him and take things ahead at his pace. So that was another factor.
Let's dive deeper, right? I think a lot of people say that they want a Christian curriculum or Christian based schooling for their kids. So, what do you really mean by Christian curriculum or Christian based learning for kids, right? Like, what kind of difference have you seen when Megan was doing her second grade or third grade using Abeka or Good and the Beautiful? How did you feel like the values or the belief system that we follow at home is
Mhm.
incorporated in the school as well?
So there was a subject especially for Bible. So they in Rebecca they started the day with Bible, and they spent a good 30 minutes singing songs, worshiping God, and reading the word, memorizing the word. And as they grew up in Christian families, I believe that as kids memorize verses, it's going to help them in the long run. The verses that they learn, these seeds that are planted at a very young age, when they grow up, it's going to help them. Those words are going to guide them. They will suddenly remember a verse from the Bible that they learned at a very young age that can help them.
I think so too, right? Like, I remember there were days when Megan would learn several verses, right, from a chapter. She would be learning that on a daily basis, and that would help her to memorize, like, for example, Hebrews 11, or there were some Psalms that she would memorize as a part of her curriculum itself, right? So, one of the things that we found difficult for us is to make sure we have a regular discipline of reading the word or praying and all that. But since this is now incorporated as part of their day-to-day schedule and part of the curriculum, I think she had to do it on a daily basis, right? I think that helped her to learn a lot of verses, also understand deeper in terms of relationship with God and all that. I would definitely agree that kids learned a lot of verses as part of the curriculum, and than we forcing them to learn, right?
That's right.
The other thing I also have noticed in the small portions that I have been involved in their education was how, with respect to science or with respect to math, that their books or their curriculum itself was teaching them with respect to what Bible believes about creation, or how God was involved in various activities when it comes to different science principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they would relate to how what it means from the Bible or what
That's
it
right.
means from God. I think that was also very interesting, that from the beginning they've been not just memorizing the concepts
Mm-hmm.
or understanding just the science aspect of it, but
Yeah.
also relating it to how God was involved in the creation. God was involved in the science that we learn right now.
That's right. So that was a really good point. So especially when it comes to science, there are a lot of theories that how world began when it comes to science. But then these Christian curriculum teaches them the right principle or the true doctrine behind how the earth was really formed. It didn't just form because of a big bang, or it didn't just form because it was there already, but it was God that created it. So these principles or these truths, I would say, is very important as they grow. Plant grows from a little seed, the roots are formed, and it stretches out and it holds on to the ground more. I believe that these truths really help them know what the truth is, and belief builds on that truth.
I have seen really a big difference is in terms of focus, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
the second point that you mentioned about like one attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there were some instances, or like were a few months here and there, that kids got to go to public school
Mm-hmm.
and study there, but we saw that they were not really able to connect with the teacher because of the number of kids that were there in the class, and the teacher was not able to pay attention like to specific kids who were in
Mm-hmm.
need, and also the kids were like with all the other kids that were in the class.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, what was your experience having one-on-one focus with Megan and Manu?
I think that made a really big difference, I would say. So we just tried like half a semester. We homeschooled them last year, and the other half semester we sent them to public school so they would know how it is. It's not that we are depriving them from the public schools, but they would also have a hang of how things are. And I could see a big difference in how Manu's learning, the way he learned the first half semester at home, the way he progressed, things that he learned. The second half of the semester, when he was at school, he was more into playing and laughing and having fun at school.
Mm-hmm.
We used to get notes from the teacher, right? So it was more fun for him at school, and he didn't really focus much. And I didn't, after a long school day, I didn't want to make him sit at home, like another hour to catch up. But I did as much as I could, like a few minutes of learning when he came back from school, but then we couldn't really spend too much time because he lost his energy at school. There was very less focus and attention span. So when we started back again this year on homeschooling, he picked up really fast, like words that he could have learned in kindergarten. When we reviewed it at home, he hardly knew how to read them. But then I started learning during our vacations. We spent a few minutes every day to catch up on those words. And when we started our first grade, he picked up really fast. I could say that he drastically improved on his reading and writing
Hmm.
skills and applying the principles, doing math. He could not even do simple addition when we started first grade. But now he does double digit addition, he does subtraction, he applies logical thinking into it. So I can see that difference when you do one on one with your kid and help them where they are actually lagging behind and you teach them those concepts. They really catch up fast.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think one-on-one focus from a parent to
Mm-hmm.
the kid, I think, is very key in their education, in their learning. Thank God that you are doing that with the kids.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we want all parents, encourage all the parents to do, right? If their kids are going to school but spend time outside school working hours, like one focus. What do you think about sickness when kids go to school? They fall sick
Yeah.
regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any benefit um, for kids not falling sick frequently and
Yeah.
growing healthy?
Yes, that's another important factor, I would say. We had doctor visits only for our annual checkups. In between the annual checkups, we hardly went back to them. Maybe they would have just had a little cough or like allergies, but they were not severe at all. Because I would say that they're at home, they eat healthy food, they are on a good diet. So especially when kids go to school, even if you pack them healthy food, they don't eat them all. When they're at home, they get regular snacks, they get meals, they eat it properly. I make sure they eat it, and so their sickness, since they didn't go to school, I could say there wasn't anything big that was a concern for us the last few years, I would say.
Yeah, I think when you hear this, right, a lot of people would think like, hey, if they're not falling sick or like they're not going getting introduced to other kids, their immunity is not growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people might think that it's in one way good that they fall sick, so the body fights against it and builds immunity. I feel like making the kids grow is like similar to a seed, a plant growing from the seed, right? Especially when the seed is germinating and you have a small plant coming out of it. We give so much care and attention, right? We
Mm-hmm.
don't immediately introduce that plant to severe storm or like to rain or like water, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
chemicals, right? We protect it
Yeah.
safe, the right nutrients, and make sure that it grows healthy to a
Mm-hmm.
certain level. And then
Yeah.
we introduce it to the outside world where it is then has the strength and the energy it needs
Mm-hmm.
to overcome the storm or the whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Severe weather conditions. So I
Yeah.
think that's true with kids as well, right?
Yeah.
Like this age, especially, they're at home and they're eating healthy food and time parents. I think they are emotionally building that strength and
Yeah.
physically building that strength also. So when they're
Very true.
introduced to the world,
Mm-hmm.
already have the strength to any
Yeah.
obstacles that may come their way.
Mm.
Again, it's a choice, right? I think not everybody will have the ability or um, the flexibility to do homeschool for the kids.
That's true.
I think it's very important that they maintain a proper nutrition and proper emotional and physical care for kids during especially this first few years of their schooling, so that they gain that energy and strength to meet those unexpected sickness
Yeah.
and any kind of emotional problems also when they
Mm-hmm.
go out like middle school or high school. That's good, right? So think we talked about why homeschool, right? And we talked about various reasons for it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that whenever I talk to my friends or like else, right, they tell that, hey, if you're doing homeschool, kids are not going to be social,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't know how to talk to other kids, don't know how to be in a society or like express their thoughts to people. What do you think about that? And how do you think you are overcoming that challenge in our homeschool curriculum?
Yeah, so that's a very good point. One factor that everyone thinks, like if they're homeschooled, they're just at home and they don't socialize. But we have homeschool group that supports, like even at our church, we have a homeschool group that supports homeschool learning. And we meet once a week. It's called a nature co-op or a creation co-op. We have about, I should say, 6 families together in one group. And every week, each mom comes up with a topic, mostly related to science and history. So we come up with a topic and we discuss it among the kids, and we give them an opportunity to learn about the topic. And we also give an opportunity where a kid can present about the topic. And so there they build their vocabulary, their speaking skills, and they come out of their fear of talking to each other, and they connect with other kids,
Mhm.
and they talk to other parents, and they have a time of playing and a time of learning. And that has been really good. And apart from that, the kids also do some the extracurricular activities, like Megan does gymnastics and Manu does swimming. So they're into other sports as well. So they have chances, or they have room for connecting with other people as well.
Yeah, I think that's good point, right? Like also seen you take the kids like the week for nature co-ops, and come and share their experience about like what they learned, and how it was more like not just sitting at home and studying a theory, but actually going out into the world. And let's say if they're studying about rocks, or if they're studying about birds, they're actually looking at it and
Yeah,
learning from it. And I think the key here is about going out, right?
yeah,
So homeschool cannot be done just at home.
yeah,
We are blessed that we have a church group that has these co-ops that we can be a
yeah.
part of. But I think for those who are probably not going to a church, I'm sure there are other
There are
co-ops
several, yeah.
that people could find and make use of it, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think the key here is not just to restrict the kid at home,
Yeah.
but also take them out, be part of a group, and introduce them to other kids and other family members that they could talk to.
There are a lot of Facebook groups
Mhm.
that have like the homeschool co-ops. If someone's interested in certain kind of co-op, like I'd say arts or music or sports, there are so many co-ops around that support these group learning, and people can really find out on where they are located. They can search even on Facebook. There are homeschool groups that they
Mhm.
can be a part of.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I want to cover about why homeschool is, this requires a lot of sacrifice and commitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, which means that probably you had an opportunity to go and find a job and continue your career, or let's say you're doing your business, and maybe you could spend time building your business and focusing on your skills, right? But it requires a choice that you have to make, either as a mom, or as a dad, right? Whoever it is, to say no to it, or like to sacrifice that, and
Mm-hmm.
to take up homeschooling for kids,
Yeah.
right? Have you ever felt I've missed my opportunity to build my career, or go to a job, or look at other women out there? And what do you think about that?
Like for me personally, I believe that God has made me a woman, and He has made me a part of this family. And I should be focused more on how my family is growing. So for me, that was the first priority. My family was my first priority, and raising up my kids the right way, with the right principles, was more important for me. I did have opportunities to work at Montessori preschools. Well, if I had tried, I could have even gone into some IT jobs and earned a lot of money. But then, above all, the excess money that could have come into the family, I think this was, for me as a person, this was more important for me. And I was ready to give that time, my energy, my all that I could, for raising my kids.
Yeah, I think that that was like a decision that we made.
Mm-hmm,
Both of us are not focusing on outside things, and not for not leaving our kids behind,
mm-hmm.
but to divide ourselves, right? Like us,
Yeah,
okay, one of us goes out and brings in money, and the other person focuses on the family
yeah,
and takes care of the kids. I
mm-hmm,
think that has worked out so far,
yeah,
and we want to thank God for blessing us in that way. I think it's a God given opportunity for us as a family,
mm-hmm,
not just focus on our own personal and personal goals, but also look at it as a family,
yeah,
and how we are going as a family,
that's right.
right? I
Yeah,
think kids are like a blessing from God, but
mm-hmm,
at the same time, it's a covenant or a commitment from God, right? I think it's our
mm-hmm,
responsibility as parents to make sure that we are supplying them with right resources, right nutrients, right knowledge, and upbringing, so
Mm-hmm.
that they will turn out to be successful men and women when they grow up. And I believe like conscious decision that we
Yeah.
need to make as a family
Mm-hmm.
to decide what is important as
Yeah.
a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is by design. I think we always talk about it, that God's authentic design. I think
Mm-hmm.
family is God's authentic design,
That's
and
true.
it's our responsibility to make sure that we give importance to our family first
Mm-hmm.
before prioritizing anything else outside.
Yeah.
I believe this was a great discussion.
Yeah, it is. We truly had fun discussing and letting others know why we chose homeschool, because that's one question that everyone asks us.
Mhm.
When you have a free school that that kids can be a part of, why did you choose homeschool? So this was a great time where we could share why we chose to homeschool our kids, and we love it. And I do not want to sacrifice it for anything. Well, thank you so much for joining us and listening to us share our hearts to you. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.